what's up, guys? So this is episode 2 of Film Therapy with Chris Castro. We went on a bit of a hiatus. I just was doing other stuff, but I'm back, and now we have our first episode with video content. So hopefully it looks pretty good. But anyway, today we're going to be talking about starting a film company or business with friends. Now, this is a very, very complex question or very complex situation. So the video is going to be set up the first half of the podcast for about 5 minutes. We're going to talk about kind of the interpersonal stuff and the strain on relationships. And the second half, we're going to talk more about why it just conceptually has issues. So to start off, starting a business in general is so freaking hard. It is hard, dude. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of paperwork. It's a lot of figuring out branding, your image, who you are, what you're making, especially when it comes to production, film production. It's really hard to figure out what do you want to shoot. And okay, great, you want to shoot this, and that. How are you going to do that? And I would say the first big hardship when doing such with friends, creating a company with friends, is being careful with how many cooks are in the kitchen. When you want to start a company, you want to have it to be as limited amount of people as possible. Really, like 2, maybe 3. That's a pretty good number to work with. And when you have a lot of people that are trying to start a company, it's really difficult. You just have a lot of voices. And it's not that any of them are wrong. It's just that coming up with a decision that everyone agrees with is a pain in the ass. And it's not something that comes very easily. Another big issue this is the biggest one, is everyone's kind of interpersonal relationships. I know me and some of my friends have had at times had beef, right? Have had issues, have had things that were, we had our disagreements on. And that's just how relationships kind of go. That's how they do their thing. You have that angle, and then you have romantic relationships. If 2 of the people in the company are romantically involved in any way, well, guess what? Any beef that happens from that's going right into the company. That's going right into the meeting. And meetings are a huge thing. Of course, when starting a company, there's a lot of things you need to get set up. There's a lot of things you need to meet up and talk about. And this all makes sense. This is all very important to do. Problem is, you do not want interpersonal stuff to bleed into business stuff. As an example, let's say Joe Schmo and Tony. I'm Joe Schmo. This is Tony, my laptop. Let's say we're in a business meeting for a new company we just started. And, me being Joe Schmo, I keep arguing that I think pizza is the best lunch food. And Joey thinks that Cheerios are the best lunch food. I don't know. That discussion gets heated. We get into an argument, and it just causes a certain thing in the air. And this is something that is really, you can't, it's hard to explain when you can hear a pin drop, but when there's disagreements, and they're not just business related, there's something that, even a stupid ass example like that, there's something that is outside of the business, and you're bringing it into a business meeting, you're going to have issues. You have to keep things separate. And that's one of the biggest flaws of working with your friends is it's hard. You have to be decisive when drawing lines when it comes to when is fun time and when is business time. Because you may think, well, I'm working with my friends. I mean, we can kind of blend the two, and we'll do business stuff, and then we'll kind of just chill, and we'll have a fun time doing it. Sure, maybe that can work in small instances. But for the big scope of things, you need to keep things separate as best you can. If this is a business meeting time, this isn't a time for us to all massage each other's feet, okay? That's not what this is. This is the time to talk about, I don't know, marketing or whatever videos you're doing or whatever the hell. It doesn't matter. But this is what that time is for. After the meeting, before, later, next day, whatever, if you want to hang out and massage each other's feet, please do that. Please. But don't do that in business meeting time. One of the problems I personally had was this bleed-in of things. And so something that I hated about it was when we would be hanging out for fun. I'd be hanging out with a friend or a couple friends or whatever. Things about business would come up, things that were kind of revolving around whatever parts of business, and it would just like make me feel like, bleh. You know what I mean? Like we that was going on then. We were talking about that yesterday or earlier or whatever. I don't want to talk about that now. Like that's the last thing I want to fucking talk about. You know, I'm here to be cool. I'm here to hang out and have a fun, whatever. And when it kind of gets like you know, like ruined by this business talk, it's like, dude. And the biggest problem with starting a business with friends is that ultimately it destroys those friendships. It really does. It really puts it to the paces, man. It really pushes it to the paces. And you got to keep in mind, getting into a business with someone is like getting into a romantic relationship. It's a partnership, right? You're going to see people at their best and at their worst. Very little in between, right? You're going to see people for all they are. And that's for, like I said, the good and for the bad. And this goes for talking about yourself. Like me personally, I saw some shit where I know how I react under certain high stress things when you're dealing with, you know, timelines for a job and projects that are, you know, involving 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 plus people. You have to know what you can manage and what you're comfortable with, you know, kind of devolving onto the people. But like I said, you're going to see the best and worst in people. And for most friendships, they can't last through that. They just can't. Unfortunately, it's just such a high stress environment. It just doesn't work, because you got to think at the core of it. This is kind of going to the second part of the video. At the core of it, artists are not business people. Almost all artists do not like business. Pretty much all of them. And the ones that do it because they're pretty good at it. And they're like, okay, somebody's got to do it. But for the most part, creative people are not business people. They don't care about invoices and insurance and copyright and all that crap. It doesn't really matter unless it directly affects them. So with that in mind, it's hard to kind of draw that line of, okay, well, we all like each other and we all like making stuff, but that doesn't mean that we should start a company. That doesn't mean that we should pull some money together and try to do something. Maybe we should just make stuff for fun. You know, like just how it is that you can't get into a romantic relationship with just anybody. You have to be compatible, right? You have to work together and fill each other in certain ways. Giggity. But you know what I mean? Like there's certain things that have to work and certain compromises that have to be done that will make things work better, that will make things actually function. And not all people you can get into a romantic relationship with, just like not all people you can get into a business with. You know, it requires a lot of time, a lot of effort. It's not a lot of room for just being mad, right? You got to figure out, okay, what's the issue? How do we solve it? And how do we keep moving forward? A lot of friendships, they can't do that, right? A lot of friendships, there's one or two bumps and it's like, it's kind of the nail in the coffin, right? And it's kind of just done. And so I guess kind of coming to a conclusion, I don't want anyone to come out of watching this video to think that I should not make a business with friends. I should completely push it to the wayside and never even think of doing it. I don't want people to think that. But I will say that it is a very, very, very stressful thing, and it's a very huge commitment. You may think, hey, we're starting a little thing and we're doing this and we're just going to do a few projects. No. If you're going to do it right. If you want to do a legitimate business. If you want to make stuff for fun, please, by all means, do that. But if you want to start a business and the purpose is to make money and to inevitably profit and hopefully have a living of some kind, then it's very hard to recommend. And if you do decide to do it, I recommend one or two people that you work with. And that's it. Everyone else you bring on per project or whatever. It's a very hard thing. And it's, at the end of the day, is it worth losing friendships over? I don't think it is. I mean, unless you pull in some serious cash, I really don't think it's worth losing people that could have been friends for a very long time. Losing them because of disagreements and different thoughts of how to operate a business. It's just a really shitty thing to have happen. But that's going to wrap up today's episodes, guys. I hope you appreciate it. All the episodes will be available on YouTube and on Spotify. So please check them out. Please check out the YouTube channel. And let me know if you want to be on the show and you have a topic you want to discuss. And we'll try to get guests on in the next few weeks. So take it easy, guys.